Right, you are watching NBA Sports Profile, and today I'm joined by two superstars, Nelson SSENKATUUKA, captain of Bright Stars, and the superstar with the Uganda Cranes, and Wonder JR. I'm sure everybody has had that jam with Zex and Ruyonga joining me today. We're doing it different this time. It's a conversation between two guys whose journey is quite interesting. Watch for the next 30 minutes or so. Guys, first of all, thanks for making the time.
Appreciate it, man.
It means a lot. Nelly? Thanks, my man. So, when I was thinking about a profile, yeah, the two of you crossed my mind. Because your journey, to me, well, I could be completely wrong, but your journey for me felt like it was very identical. Two young guys, exposed, educated, coming into an industry that was stereotyped as an industry that was for guys who didn't make it in school. Industry where our parents, our generation felt like, nah, that's for guys who have failed at school. Yeah. They can be musicians, they can be footballers. And I look at both of you and how successful you've been right now, and it feels like it's testament to such a wrong stereotype completely. Do you feel that way, or do you feel something completely different?
No, I definitely feel that way because, man, in hindsight, I'm very grateful because not many people have the zeal that some of us have to carve these paths for our own, because we're battling mindsets. We have been conditioned to follow a certain, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a... Man, I told my mom, that for me, that's not the porridge I'm cut from, bro. I mean, you can, to each his own. Everyone can go out there and do their thing, but I just feel different from I've always felt different, and by the grace of God, I traveled when I finished my A-levels.
Where did you go to?
The UK.
Okay. That's for uni?
Yes, for uni, yeah. And my mom got rid of me. She's like, thank God that boy has gone because it's a problem. But for me, I didn't even know that I was reacting because I was different. But you see, most of us are different, and like, not many of us are privileged. I'm privileged, I would say that, to have carved this path by virtue of living UG at the time.
Where did you go in the UK?
Bristol.
Bristol?
Yeah.
So in Bristol University?
I was in Bristol, not uni, but it was like a college type thing, and eventually I moved into the music, because that's how I actually started my musical journey as well. So I met guys there who are doing the music. So they helped me, carve this path for myself.
And you mentioned the UK, because I think Nelly, you too had a stint in the UK as well. Is that where your journey as well started?
I've always wanted to play football from here as well, but when I went for college as well in the UK, opened up more ideas to me. When you see how the football is there, it pushes you more to even want to like play football more and live the dream like you see on TV, not just here. I think when you're exposed, the hunger becomes a bit more.
You're in the UK as well, eh?
Yeah, I did.
But I tried playing football, in the UK.
In Bristol?
Bro, my football story was mad.
Could you play?
I touched down, yeah, bro, I used to play, but I was
like actual play?
In the middle.
Midfield.
In the middle. But I tried to play, I remember when I went to touch down Bristol, I used to live close to where Bristol Rovers would play from train. Yeah. So I remember walking down there and I was lanky like a Somali guy. Them guys were just like, I was tiny and tall. Yeah. So I went there, I was like, man, I want to play football. Guys are like, okay, please. Do this, that, and the third, go and train, da-da-da. If you're from UG, you might do the work permit. I feel like it was too long, but I kept trying nonetheless. I tried scholarships. I remember one time I went and applied at Stamford Bridge for a US scholarship. And then they sent us to Man City Academy to go and play. We actually played at the academy with a bunch of young kids. I remember that time when I met kids there and they were telling me, man, may I play for Bristol Rovers Academy? These guys are like, may I play for Manyavichi?
Were there any Ugandan kids?
Nah.
Yeah. British kids.
British kids. And they asked me and I was like, for me I was playing for Sunday League, man. I was in my church team.
But Nelly, the
That
thing
was
is,
mad.
you were saying as well about the UK and how you got to actually play. You got a club and played for some time, right?
I played non-league football.
Non-league.
Non-league.
Was it also down to work permit issues or what?
Non-league you can play without work permit, but higher up you need a work permit.
But are you paid when you're playing in non-league?
You're paid per game, maybe £100 a week, £100 a game, not a week.
You get paid?
Pounds, yeah.
Okay.
You pay a game, they give you the cash. They just come and give you the cash. If you don't play, then they don't.
The Sunday league we're not getting jack, but
Sunday league, there's
Sunday
other
league, you
Sunday
just
league
show
team
up
as
and
well, but there's no money in Sunday league.
Yeah.
It's
No
just
money.
for fun. Yeah.
Just
Just
for fun.
hoping scouts see you play and see how good you are. But your journey as well, like playing here in Uganda. I know for a fact before you went to the UK, I think we played. Was that when we were playing in Hope FC at that time?
Hope
Yeah.
FC, yeah.
So when you started playing at that point, I know there's no money in Ugandan football at that time anyway. There's a bit more money now, but then when we were playing, there was no money in Ugandan football. Did your parents understand it, that this guy is just, this is where his career is supposed to go?
I think at the young age they just thought this guy likes football, he'll maybe get over it and stuff like that. He just likes to play with his friends and things like this. But when I started playing for Hope, it was just fun because always in holiday time. You come from school in the holidays, you come and play a bit like that. So when it actually became serious was when I came. My mom always told me, when you finish college, then you can do what you want. As long as you have your degree and you have your paperwork and stuff, then you do what you want. That's when it started to become serious. But before that, she told me just for fun and leisure activity and things like this.
Any regrets?
But
Where you've ended? I know you're doing well now, but do you ever look back and think it could have been different?
the biggest hurdle was integrating what I learned here, how to make it applicable to where we are here. Because back home here we have a different mindset. We consume, I think even with sports and whatnot, everything really is a mentality issue. And the reason why those guys are slightly ahead of us is because they're very advanced in how they approach their things. Man, I remember when I used to see kids, there's a guy who was one of our sort of coaches of the Sunday League, was a former United player for class 1992. He was called Ralph. He was in the class of 92, but his career sort of dipped because he had an issue. But he took us onto one of those training sessions at Bristol City. And you're seeing kids of 12 years old doing drills, my G. Eh? Under 12s. He was a coach of the under 12s.
Yeah.
And the things these kids are doing, and you try to correlate it with what's happening here, it's a shock. So you find that it's a conditioning issue. So I think, well, I'm thankful that I carved this path by the grace of God. But then the biggest hurdle was helping, finding a way in which it can integrate in the system here where I find, because your environment can either be an impediment to your growth or an enhancement to your growth. So now, after all these years, I'm now starting to find a way of communicating what I learned in a way that people around me can understand
And appreciate.
I wanted to ask you, before you went to the UK, did you want to do music or the music started from?
Now, that's the funniest thing. I'm a huge football fan.
You want to be a football player before you
It was not the football or music. No, but the music was a bit low-key. I had this innate thing, but because of where I come from, Banyankole, we're not allowed to do music.
Even football, don't very many.
Even football. But for me, I think, man, I was always a different guy. But the funny thing about that is in school, I was always a backbencher, very timid, but as a noisemaker, I was the guy who would make noise after class. But during class, I was always like But then what happened was, when I left for UK, it's like it sort of brought this thing out of me that was packed in there for so many years. And so when I met guys there, they helped nurture me. We started doing studio once in a while. I was always a Drake fan, Kendrick. Drake, Lil Wayne. Kendrick was not quite big at the time. And so it just, what UK did for me, it just brought out that thing. But for me, I always knew I was different. That's all I knew. In school, I was always just...
So your college mates were the guys who were doing music, or you met them like other guys doing music?
I met other guys. Actually, like Ugandans. Ironically, there were Ugandans who were doing music at the time in the UK.
Are they doing now, or they're not doing any music?
One of them is doing the music. The other two, I don't know what they're up to, because they were quite old at the time. And also now trying to integrate into that system there is a bit tough.
Yes.
So you find yourself in like, where do I fit?
I kind of relate with you guys. I'm not a superstar like you guys, but I relate because when I was in uni in Cape Town, I was playing as well already at that time. I was captain of the university team, the first non-South African to captain the team, and I still hold that record. I don't think there's been any non-South African since then. And I got a chance. I got called for trials with Santos. Santos FC was playing in what you call the championship in England, the second division. In South Africa, it was called the Umbrella League. They came to the uni and identified a few of us, about 6 of us, and they offered us a chance to do trials. So I called my mom and I'm like, you know what? I'm not coming this holiday. I need to stay for trials, because the trials were in July. Now that was supposed to be holiday time, because we used to break off June and return at the beginning of August. The first thing my mom said, my mom is a professional teacher, by the way. She's a teacher, that's her profession. It's like, what? We're paying money for you to go to Cape Town and play football. Get onto that flight and get back to UG right now. I didn't even argue twice. I just told the coach, I was like, you know what, my parents don't understand this. They want me to go back home, because for them, they're paying money for me to study. You know what I mean? So I lost a chance, and I look back up to now.
So you didn't do it?
I didn't. See, it meant me staying and paying rent. I needed rent to keep me in South Africa for those 2 months, and then I needed money to look after myself. I wasn't working, so my parents had to give me that money. So I do TV, I do sports punditry. It's the next best thing that you could have done if you didn't get to play up to a high level. I came back, we played with him, we were teammates in like same level to the championship of Uganda, which is a second division. We were teammates for, I think, what, 2-3 seasons?
2 seasons.
Yeah, and then eventually I got a job, and as you say, the rest is history. The money wasn't that good. You don't need to tell me how much you guys are making. But people don't understand that entertainment, sports can actually be a source of income and a livelihood. But did you guys struggle in terms of money and how to survive?
Right now, as always, it's not like the Premier League money in the UK and stuff, but in Ugandan standards, personally, I can survive, but still the money in Ugandan football is still very.
When you say survive, is it money that you can invest and build a house and do stuff for yourself?
The money from Uganda, no. Maybe if you're playing with national team and you play a few tournaments and you get some bonuses, you can maybe build a house, but it's not enough to build a house and take care of yourself and take care of your parents and your family. It's just to survive day by day. Maybe you pay your rent, take care of maybe one child and stuff like this.
You had a chance, you played outside Uganda, you're in Morocco.
Yes.
For some time. How did that go in terms of money and then survival and adapting to a whole different country altogether?
In Morocco, the team paid my rent, they paid the transport and all these things, so the money that I was having, I was just keeping for myself. So I didn't really have a problem money-wise. All I was using my money for was to feed myself and things like this. The pay was good. It wasn't as big as I hoped it would, but it was enough for me to have something in my pocket, and I could afford most of the things I wanted as well.
And for you guys?
You see, that's what I'm telling you. The thing about it is, the honest truth, for the both of us, because actually all of us here, we're creatives. We're just, and this is something that the system is not particularly, they don't have a clear understanding of how to navigate through what we do. And they don't see how lucrative it is business-wise, because what tends to happen is there's just a handful of people that just tend to come out. Now, like him comes out, sprouts out, and then so we just need a collective where there's like a full structure of creators, not just one community, no one biblical, no one so on.
But you guys have tried to do that. You have an umbrella organization.
But then it's also now it's just a different reggae, man. It's too political, bro. It's being politicized, and it's actually deviating away from the point. You know what I'm saying? So all these guys are battling as opposed to actually knowing what. So I feel like there's actually a deliberate attempt in it being polarized as associations, because there's more than one, from what I understand. And yet, really and truly, it's just about getting copyright in order, putting
for your music.
You know what I'm saying? So you guys can actually get money from airplay and so on and so forth. But I'll tell you that I think from the guys from personally, I feel like as a result of not only doing music, because I'm into like podcasting, mental health advocacy, I'm into acting. What that does is that it builds a brand, and so you associate with different entities that now feed, which is just more than the music. Because if you it's actually very difficult in this country to just depend on music. That's the honest truth. Because it's tough out here, man. I mean, yeah, if our own folk, the old folk who actually are the callers, they call the shots to where the money goes. If they don't see any value in the music and the sports and the what, then they're not going to. That's what it really comes down to. And so, how long is that going to last? I mean, those people will probably have another 10 to 15 years at most. You know what I'm saying? So we are essentially the guys that are going to call the shots in the 3 years to come. But for now, I think for the music, it's the same as it relates to the mindset. You know, I think this thing has a lot to do with the mind. As in, that's why I give immense respect to people like the Drogbas and them that were recruited in their late teens to move to like France and so on, and actually go on to become the greatest Africans of all time. I don't know what kind of mentality those people have, because when you see what happens abroad is that when you sit down with these people, like that's one thing I struggle with here. somehow as musicians we think we are at the mercy of how good we sound. You know what I mean? And yet, if you look at the Nigerians, for example, a lot of these people have a background in the UK, in the US. If you look at Davido, because in the US, in his early years, Wizkid, the UK, Burna Boy, the UK, Tiwa Savage, the US, the UK, and so on and so forth. So you find that it's a mindset thing. There's something that you're supposed to ingrain in your mind that you bring now here and integrate. That's something that the Nigerians do quite well. They go abroad, get trained, come back, and integrate into the system and help propel the Fela Kuti and so on and so forth. So I really, for the music, for everything really in this country, the challenge is when you come back into the system, you're battling mindset. So now they look at you as an outsider, and they're coming to attack you because you're bringing some. Because here we prefer things in a straight. We prefer things straight. We don't like things. I don't know if they work. You know,
they don't understand.
They don't understand.
You're not embraced.
You're not embraced. You know what I'm saying? And yet, really and truly, we're supposed to work towards getting into it. Because from my question is, man, I used to see guys in Sunday League has bad guys, bro. I would see guys who would train like in Bristol City in the academy, but they would come and play for us in Sunday League. But then you'd see the guys come and these guys would do the maddest things on pitch, on the pitch. Bro, 6 months after you hear that Bristol City dropped the guy, and in your head you're thinking, this is the next Premier League guy.
True, I hear you.
So you find that, is it really a thing about the skill that you possess, or is it a mindset thing? Because man, I used to question myself, and I'd look at guys who, because I'm a huge Arsenal guy, and I'd look at guys like Cesc. Cesc was not really a fast guy. Or a dribbler,
he had a brain.
But he had a brain, man. Tactical, especially in the UK, it's very tactical. It's not about skill.
Let me ask you guys about, you spoke about being embraced and being looked at as an outsider, especially if you've come from abroad and coming back home. For your case, I would put you in a category, and again, listen, I could be completely wrong, but I would put you in a category with like Navio, the Myth.
Right.
The Myth, and not just because you guys are all hip hop, but because of your background.
Right.
And then, so people would think you're going to do music with only that type of person, and then you do a jam with Zex, Bidanji. You know what I mean? And was that deliberate for you to try to open yourself to a different audience altogether? Because I know Ryonga is in that song, but he would also fit in that category with you, the Myth, and Navi. But then you've got Zex, and then you have all these other artists that are completely different in terms of background. Is that deliberate for you to be welcomed into the industry?
I think personally, one thing I'm very strong on is understanding our people. Because me, I'm on the other side. My dream is this, basically. Let me just give you in a nutshell what I would like to do. I'd like to have a podcast with a Jay-Z one early in the day. In the middle, I'm doing a collab with like Burna Boy, and in the evening, I'm in Kamwacha, interviewing some guy who is at a Rolex stand, because I really enjoy that. I enjoy the community. I love the community, and the most important thing about it is that the community, once you understand the dynamics of how our people work, and know where the power lies, it will shift the way you put out what you do. So we about to light this place from the night until the sun up. Buckle up till we back up. Break it down on the stack up. Select up on the tin, Mr. Will it up till it burn up. What's the plan? All of our not together one. Wanna go as an ani. Together one. All of our not together one. Party Yani was an attempt to help us understand what works in this country. You can actually do a dope song that maintains who you are, but yet speaks to our people, without necessarily speaking in rap music and rapping like you're speaking to a Nas fan base, because I could do that easily. But at the end of the day, what's going to distinguish me from a Nas or a J. Cole? You know what I mean? I have to do that, but still show where I come from and make my people appreciate. So which is something that is very hard for creatives, because most of us as creatives, I keep saying, we're either too urban or too, no one wants to bridge the gap. You don't want to come into the middle where you can actually do rhymes that can speak to our people, but at the same time speak to where you come from. So there's a very big stereotype as it relates to rap, who we are. We tend to want to rap to a certain, you know what I'm saying, and yet 90% are these ends. You know what I'm saying? So it is something that people can't do well. I mean, when you put most of these guys in front of a mic to speak Luganda, they can't do anything. Tell them to speak, to represent where they come from, they can't. When you go to Nigeria and you talk to Burna Boy, you take him to the UK right now, he'll give you that UK accent. Take him to Lagos, the guy's going to speak Yoruba and so on and so forth. David are the same. Do we do the same here? You know what I'm saying? Can you take me to Sanyuka? I'll hold my
at least
own.
for you feel like you've got the balance.
Yes, Sanyuka, I'll hold my own. NBS, after 5, I'll hold my own. You know what I mean? Being able to integrate and actually show your people that I am Ugandan.
Yeah. He said something that struck a chord with me. He said that talking saved his life. Listen to what the guy said. There is no shame in finding someone to talk to and being open and honest with about how you really feel. Ramanya, what the guy said. Yajangu, to all the young kings suppressing emotion, I advise you to talk to a friend, to a family member, to someone that will listen. Talking saved my life. You'll discover that the paradox of true strength is being able to face your weakness. How many of us are willing to fix our weaknesses? Going away, Engage jogging in the gym, the way I go to the gym and hit the gym and flex his muscles is exactly how we have to flex and exercise the muscles in between our ears called the brain. Lest or funachi, hamstring machi, mumutwe. Because even you have a you know what I'm saying? So you need to find a way to let out, because you see, I told you the current measure of depression is the female's expression of depression, not the men's repression of depression.
I hear you. Nelly, I remember when you joined KCCA, you got the number 15 shot, which is a legend, one of the greatest, if not the greatest Ugandan footballer ever produced, Philip Omondi. Yeah. And the stadium is named after him fittingly. And I remember people questioning that, oh, this kid thinks he's educated and he comes and wears Philip Omondi's shirt, who is he, and that kind of thing. And I feel like that held you back a bit. I feel like you struggled to adjust to fit in because you were looked at as an outsider, trying to come and thinking you're so good that you deserve to wear a Legends shirt at the back of. Was that the case, or was it just something completely different?
I don't think that was the case, because by the time I got the number, I didn't even know who was on this shirt. I didn't even know who. I didn't know all these things, but it came up after. But I didn't know. I was asking for the number, I think 11, because my favorite number is 11, but someone had it. The number 9 was taken, so they told me you can have 15. It wasn't my asking or anything, but after.
That was Mike Mutebi, the coach?
Mike Mutebi and Sam Simbo.
And Sam Simbo,
yeah.
They offered the shirt 15 to you?
No, I think it's like the kit man who's like, there's this number that's free, there's this number that's free, so you're like, okay, closest to 11 is 15, I don't want 32 or stuff like this.
You really had no idea?
I had no idea it was a Mondi's shirt. I didn't know what Mondi was and all these things. But the fitting in thing is, because you know when you go to like Bodo and all these things, you're not allowed to speak Luganda in school, you're punished. At home you speak English. You go to the UK, you're speaking English. So I'm used to speaking English. My Luganda is not as fluent as it is now. So when you're speaking with your teammates, you're speaking English. When Waluzungu, you go to national team, when Waluzungu, everyone is like, this guy is, I'm a black Ugandan and they're making me seem like I'm a British English speaking guy. But they're not understanding that I speak English, accept me the way I am.
And it's not your fault.
It's not my fault that I can't. But I try as much as I can to integrate with everyone, and the guys who could understand you understood you. Now it's different. They're like, oh, actually, this is how this guy is. He's actually a cool guy.
So you speak comfortably now in Uganda around your teammates?
Very comfortably now. Very, very comfortably.
Do you feel it's changed the way they look at you now?
I don't think it's changed. I think I'm always myself. The more you do something, is the more you get used to it. Now, the more I was speaking with them Luganda, I knew Luganda before, but not as fluent because I was not speaking as much. So now I'm more comfortable. I can speak it. But just a simple thing like this of this guy speaks English is enough for them to.
It's enough.
From you.
As in, even in rap,
enough.
when you come and speak overly rap in English, to the masses it feels like, oh yamara yo, oh bazina, you know what I mean? Like for them they instantly they create like.
That you think you're better than the rest. Let's talk the now, where we are, where your careers are right now. I'll start.
I'd really like to hear, man, my man's, because I'm a football fan. I want to hear what's happening here, man. What's going on here?
Yeah, so you're now in probably the form of your life this season at least.
Yes.
But the national team call-up continues to be elusive. Does that get the back of your mind? You're feeling like you're playing so well for your club, but the national team coach just can't give you a chance to play for the country?
It's happened. It's happened my entire career in Uganda. Always when I'm on form, when I'm on top of the scoring charts, we go into a tournament like Chan or Kosafa, the media is saying this guy's going to be the main man. Something just changes, and you're on the bench, or you're the second guy. Always you're the second guy. I don't think I've got an opportunity to be the main striker for the national team consistently, like 1 game, 2 games, the entire tournament. But obviously it's frustrating when you work hard and you don't reap what you think you deserve. But as you said, it's the mentality. If you keep going, if you keep working hard, maybe something will change eventually.
Fahad Bayo is the guy that's leading the striking line for the national team, for the Uganda Cranes. We've got a new coach, Paul Putz. He just managed 2 games last weekend against the loss to Guinea and the 1-0 win against Somalia. Fahad Bayo was one of your teammates at Proline, and you are, so to say, a better player than he was. We in the media, because we see and analyze these things, I could comfortably say you were a better player than he is. And you now watch Bayo leading the line for the Uganda Cranes. He's a starting striker. Doesn't that take so much energy out of you and you feel like, dude, I was actually better than this guy? How am I not there right now?
I don't think so. Bayo was my friend actually. We were very good teammates. We still get along up to now. We still talk. I think the kind of striker that he is suits the way that how the coaches wanted to play. The national team wanted a big guy who can hold the ball up. He's very aggressive and can run, which is better than me. He's better at that than me at the moment because he's bigger than me. His game is about aerial ability and all this. So I think right now he's doing the job well, but I don't really think that I should be ahead of him, even though I was ahead of him at the time. Because I think we can make a good partnership just like we did at Proline. But I think if there's a coach this new coach suits players who have more technical ability, like Travis Mutiawa played 90 minutes of the day, we'd never do that in Mitchell's time. So I think it depends on the coach and the way he wants to play. As we saw, Lacazette never got a chance with France. He was always the top scorer in the French league. At Arsenal was doing well, and Giroud was not scoring, and he was always ahead of him. So there's things like that you see from other, and you're like, you know what? Maybe it happens. It should not be about me. Maybe that's the way the coach wants to play. Or if it was him, if I keep focused, my chance will come. If I keep playing here, so you find something else to focus on. So if the national team is not working out, my focus now is to go professional again, and then you can see things.
And you're hoping to be pro by the end of the season, to go back to
by the end of the season, yes.
What do you mean pro?
To go play pro, like play outside. Because I mean, you'd categorize here semi-pro. So going to Europe, you'd be going because he's played in Morocco before, which is almost at pro level. For you, the now, right now, I want to relate a bit to what Neil is talking about. When you look at the big gigs, so to say, and you're watching the Shibas, Winnie Wajis, and the Vinkas, and the Chameleon, Baby Cool, and all those guys, do you feel that it's now a time for a new, young, fresh generation to get their look in as well?
Definitely. I think first I have to give those people their flowers. I mean, our predecessors have done an incredible job. They have fought for music as a whole, and so I have to respect them for that. My question to them is, what are they doing to make sure that as gatekeepers, they are letting people come through? Because there might be a tendency to want to, keep the lock on at the gate to ensure that no one gets in. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I'm thankful for is that people like us don't even necessarily have to wait for the gatekeepers. Thanks to like social media and whatnot, you have the ability to give the power to the people to decide and say, right, this one we want, this one we don't want, this one is our guy, this one, you know what I mean? So social media has been a very strong component in making sure that we, get to the masses, and by so doing, the traditional methods of pushing the music now then come about as a result of the noise that comes with it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like performing on those big stages is also subjective because it depends on who you're speaking to. You know what I mean? Like, do they get what you're saying? You know what I'm saying? That's a thing. So, definitely. I think the time has come for us to, and all the youngins, because there's so many people who are talented out there in the communities that are very, very gifted. It's unfortunate. It's almost like a blessing and a curse. I know that not everyone that comes out with dope music will ever be known. They just have music on YouTube and SoundCloud and so on, and pushing music in this country is a very, very dicey thing. There's a lot involved. People come in and tell you on a Coca-Cola. They even proudly tell you that we you know what I mean? We make sure that we pay. Apparently, there's even guys who actually pay for your music not to get played. So it's like, this is the country that we live in. So imagine someone is coming at you like that and you have no backing, no budget to push your product. You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask both of you, because when I look at the NBA All-Star Weekend, we had Burna Boy, Thames, and Rema perform during the All-Star Weekend in the NBA All-Star Weekend. You have the Super Bowl where you have artists performing as well during the Super Bowl final. And World Cup opening ceremony and closing ceremony, Africa Cup, you get a few artists. Isn't there more that can be done to merge music and sports?
I think definitely, and because what we're doing right now is what we're telling a Ugandan story through what we do. So he's telling us a Ugandan story through his ability to showcase his agility and skill and what with the football. Me, I'm doing it with sonically or through acting and whatnot. If we collaborate, we can only go so far. But there has to be a deliberate attempt to do that. We have to know its capability. And if you look at what happened in Niger, in West Africa, you can see that this thing stretches back from many years before. What we're seeing now is as a result of what happened so many years back, from the Fela Kuti days and whatnot. So the thing is, it's very possible. Right now, more than ever, we need to promote our country. It's in dire need of, like, we really need to put our country at the forefront. And there's no way we can do it by having champions come out from the football sector. I mean, if my man can actually get into a big club, you know what I mean? You just imagine what that does for us as a people. And I mean, imagine me maybe performing at the O2 one day. You know what I'm saying? Imagine a so-and-so going. I mean, like, but for that to happen, we have to all collectively know what we're doing and what we're working towards. This is not an individual race. Yeah. We like to run solo here, and yet the collective is what determines.
I had a friend in Senegal told us last weekend, I think Mane, was it last weekend or like a month or so back, Mane was in Senegal, Sadio Mane was in Senegal, and the whole country came to a standstill because he's an icon for them as a country. He's flying their flag. So I relate with what you're saying, that just him being in the Premier League,
imagine that.
Is everyone following that team that you're playing for.
I think the mentality for Ugandans as well is not very supportive.
Yeah.
When you see the West Africans, when you do something great for them, it's massive. When you go to Tanzania, when maybe Diamond is somewhere, it's like
it's love. But you see,
when you hear when you move on the street, you're like, let's say you see Ronga, that's the guy who sang the song. That's let's say Nelson. What is he dressing? What is that? But when you go here, because I remember there's Okwi went to Tanzania when Okwi was a god at Simba.
Yeah,
Ghana,
and when he came to Uganda, nobody cared.
That's the guy, national team captain.
So you think we're just haters? You think we're just haters as Ugandans?
Our mentality is not very.
No, in Italy there's like a thing there. You know when
as compared to other countries,
when you're fearful of change, that reaction that you're talking about might come through, but that's actually fear of the uncertain, because you're bringing something fairly new. You know what I'm saying? But I think this is where now the powers that be come in, because when you look at primarily countries in West Africa, the governments fully get behind these initiatives, and the people will ultimately come along. You know what I'm saying? When it's clout, the thing about us as Ugandans, we like clout.
Yeah.
That's the thing that is undeniable. That's why West Africans and so on are always in our country every weekend collecting the bag. But yet supporting our very own is a trick.
Then if you say Ugandan artist, the crowd.
But if you say Ugandan artist, that's what I'm telling you. Here's the thing in Uganda. I keep telling guys pre-Partiani era is that as an English-speaking rapper and whatnot, I quickly learned that my people or our people will not easily support us if we only cater to them. But as a creative, when you start to package your art form in a way that can appeal to different people, then even your own people will come along, because my people would rather go and support Burna Boy for 200k, but won't pay 20k to come and
watch you.
But then if you start reaching out to the masses as a whole, then these guys will be able to come along, because now you're the big deal.
Yeah.
So the one thing that's undeniable is that we like the clout. My appeal, my humble appeal is just the powers that be, that first and foremost, let's understand the benefits of pushing these initiatives. What is the benefit of pushing sports in our country? What's the benefit of pushing the entertainment sector in our country? Because what that does, it tells a Ugandan story at a level that there's no blackboard, there's no teaching kids, there's nothing that will actually get that done than the creative sector. None. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that Hollywood has grasped quite well. West Africa is doing incredibly well. That's the only way we're going to push our country forward. So I think being a good footballer, being a good artist is just a tiny thing in the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't really understand how things operate here, because like I went to Japan for a trial. They didn't even know who I was. The kids asking for autographs and photos and
pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In Uganda, there's no one who will ever ask you for an autograph.
No one even since you walked in.
Guys have rent to pay.
Never.
Yeah, guys have rent.
Someone, unless it's your fan, they'll be like, can I have your picture? Maybe 2 pictures in 1 month or in 1 year, something like this. But you see those guys literally walking, because after the games, you might walk pass the fans to the bus, no one is saying anything to you. If Rashford walks through Manchester, everyone, it's madness. Photo, the security has to come, they have to close shopping malls, they have to do all these things. But here, in South Africa it's the same thing, in Tanzania it's the same thing. In West Africa for musicians it's the same thing, but in Uganda like,
I think there are many factors involved. I think number one, I think again from the powers that be, you see, here's the thing: when you're a recognized figure in a society, we're supposed to celebrate you. And so I think
we don't celebrate our own.
You're not celebrated. So I feel like you're supposed to be on billboards and everywhere and conferences and what consistently. Because
sometimes I see Go TV advert and there's sack. I'm like,
you dig what I'm saying?
You dig what I'm saying?
So that's exactly what needs to be done. So that way we're creatures of repetition. So when I keep saying nearly, I'm going to ultimately now feel like we have we're not patriotic enough. That's the thing. We do not love our story that much.
That's a perfect way to put it. Sports meeting entertainment, a story told by two budding superstars, Wonder JR on his way to dominating hip-hop and the music industry in Uganda, and Nelson SSENKATUUKA, a superstar with Bright Stars and the Uganda national team, the Uganda Cranes, joined me today on NBS Sport Profile as we told a story, a journey unseen before. My name is Jonah Byakutaga, and thanks for making a date with us. We'll be back with another story on NBS Sport Profile.